Welcome to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Corey Wolf.
And I'm Kristen James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
Welcome to the show, friends. Today, we are thrilled to have a real estate dynamo on the show, Jessica Wade. Jessica is a powerhouse in the industry who helped build a subdivision that became the fastest selling in the entire state of Georgia, that is. And if it wasn't enough, she once led the #1 team at Keller Williams. Get ready to be inspired as we dive into Jessica's journey, uncover her top strategies, and gain insights from one of the top players in the field. Buckle up and let's keep the momentum going with Jessica Wade.
Welcome to the show, Jessica. We're so excited to have you.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So share with our audience share with us your real estate history in your own words.
Okay, so I was a stay-at-home mom 12 and a half years. My husband's like, hey, when Madison goes into kindergarten, you should go into real estate. And so I said, okay, let's do that. So when my daughter started kindergarten, I started real estate. So that was 11 years ago now. I wanted to get paid to try real estate. So I started out as an assistant to an agent at a new construction subdivision and just kind of fell in love with the process. I fell in love with the marketing, with the sales, interacting with the clients, and thought, okay, I'm going to make this happen. So the market took off in 2013, 2014, if you guys remember, and we were able to I jumped in with, head first and had the #1 subdivision in the state of Georgia. So that was a lot of volume right away. So it was pretty interesting to do that. And then my partner, my agent and I formed a partnership and we started a team at Keller Williams, grew that to the #1 team. And then we thought we outgrew that model and we went and started our own brokerage, which was really cool and exciting because here now I'm owning a brokerage and really haven't been in real estate very long. And then he retired and I was running the brokerage and I was a little uneasy. And I think the agents picked up on that uneasiness. And so I think in real estate and I think in life in general, we all have ups and downs and twists and turns. And so when they began to feel that I was a little uneasy, they decided to leave. And so that was a downtime. Within the span of 3 months in 2019, all of the agents left me and I was stuck with all the overhead and expense and liability of running a brokerage with no agents and no income. So pretty hard season. Got out of real estate, put tons of pressure on my marriage. My marriage wasn't doing well. Really wasn't sure what the heck I was going to do with real estate. I just thought, okay, you know what? God's closed that door. I'm done. We're out. And I reached back out to my business partner who had retired at this point. He said, no, you're going to stay. You're going to do it. And I was like, nope, door's closed. I'm getting another job. And I got another job. And lo and behold, leads kept coming in. And so I thought, well, let's see, at my job, I'm making this much. And if I sell these many houses, I'm making this much. And, I think I need to try real estate. So joined a local independent brokerage. We had about 100 agents. I was the #1 agent that next year in 2021 at that brokerage for a number of transactions and volume. And I was like, okay, yep, we're good. I'm going to do real estate. But kind of hit that point of when you're really busy and you kind of burn out. And so I was really struggling with work-life balance and trying to get those systems in place. And so reached out to a real estate mentor and have been able to get my priorities aligned. And I had my best year ever last year, 52 transactions closed, top 1% of transactions in the country, just an amazing experience. And, I feel like I found my groove and just really blessed to be able to do what I do.
That's amazing, Jess. And we happen to have the pleasure of knowing you outside of this podcast recording. So we do have some insight into your business and into your life. And so I'm excited for our audience to get to know you and just kind of more layers to who you are and to your business. You hit on a couple of themes in just unpacking your history, it sounds like you have been able to overcome so many obstacles in the course of not only your business, but your life as well. What would you say are like a few of the personal traits or qualities that you feel like you really lean into in those seasons when you're kind of hitting a wall or you're running into an obstacle? Like, what do you draw on in those times?
Yeah, it's so easy to be hibernate when you get in those tough seasons. And I have just made it a point that when I get in that tough season, find somebody else who's been there and let them help me work through it. So I really encourage everyone that if you're in that tough season where, your personal life, for instance, my marriage was struggling, reaching out to trusted people and getting some good support. Now, my husband and I will celebrate 24 years of marriage this month, and we're better than ever. But, for that season, it was really hard. And without having good counsel, I wouldn't have been able to push through it and we wouldn't have been able to get here. And that's the same in my real estate space. Being able and willing to reach out and let people know and raise my hand, hey, I need help. I'm struggling right now. And finding those people who are willing to kind of pay it forward because they've probably been where I'm at and they're willing to kind of pour into me and help me get through that. So definitely would be my advice is not to hibernate, not to isolate, push through it, raise your hand, seek help and seek wisdom.
Ah, beautifully said. I love that. So, okay, take us back to you shut it down. You left, you found a different job, you started to get leads. What did that start to look like for you? Like it sounded like leads were starting to fall in your lap naturally. But once you quit your job and started to do the lead thing, did you start being more intentional or was it just, I'm going to do really good with this lead and move forward? Like, tell us how that all went down.
So yeah, so I closed the brokerage at the end, like towards the summer of 2019. And I had always, again, I like to surround myself with wisdom. And so I had the opportunity to attend a real estate conference in California. And I was like, okay, here we go, let's go. So it was the Club Wealth Business Strategy Mastermind. So I went out there and I was like, okay, this is how I can do an independent brokerage or independent producing agent. And so I just started to really focus in on my skills. So yes, those leads at first started just coming in because I had been doing the marketing for the brokerage. And so our marketing was still working. I didn't anticipate that happening, but that the marketing worked, the leads were still coming in. But once I realized, okay, yep, I'm quitting this job, we're going into real estate full time, I sought wisdom. I went to the conference. I started to work with different coaches. I started to really get intentional on what did I want my business to look like because this girl is not picking up the phone and making a cold call. I'm not door knocking. I never have. I never will. You will not see me do that. So I knew if I wanted to focus on my sphere of influence, which is where I wanted to be and where I wanted to do for my business, that I had to be intentional with that. And I just learned as much as I could from these different sources. And then it worked. And I was like, holy cow, it's working. So
That's amazing. And then of course you experience like the snowball effect, you just keep building on those foundational principles and the way that you wanted to build and grow your business. And then now you're seeing exponential growth, which is amazing. You touched on marketing. Let's go down that path for a bit. Like, what have you found to be the two or three like core kind of principles that govern your marketing when you're not just marketing of yourself, but like how do you market your listings and your sellers' properties? If you can touch on both of those, that'd be awesome.
yeah, so marketing myself. So I said most of my business is my sphere of influence. So you're going to see me having coffees at least twice a week with somebody in my circle. If it's just a new mom that I've met, if it's somebody at church that I just kind of cross paths with, if it's somebody, you guys, I am so incredibly shy, but I make myself step out of my comfort zone. And a couple weeks ago, we had a local political election and I admired one of the one of the candidates, and I sent him a text message and said, I'd love to treat you and your wife to lunch. And so you'll see me doing that, like just reaching out to people and just being intentional with forming a relationship with them. And my goal is not to form business. I'm not asking them if they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. I'm just looking to have a genuine relationship with people. So coffees, lunches, and then sphere of influence, client appreciation events, and sponsoring some community events. And that has been the foundation of my business. And I just do different things to kind of just network and really love on my people. Send them cards. If I know what their favorite crumble cookie flavor is, and when it comes up, I'll send them a cookie. That's one of my trademark things right now. And just loving on my people. And then as far as like independent listings, I think right now it's even more important to set yourself apart with your listings because the market is kind of slower and we just have to do what we can to market our listings. So you'll find me doing a lot of social media and internet marketing. I'm big on the Instagram. When somebody says what social media accounts do you do, I do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google. Those are the four that I do. Those are the four that I focus on. I have it set up where if I post on Instagram, it automatically goes to my Facebook page. Then I pop over to LinkedIn and then I popped over to Google. And I'm going to put my listings on all of those places and just create. I love the Facebook marketplace. I feel like I get so much bang for my buck because it's free. And I'll just put my listings in Facebook marketplace. And that really helps. And just encouraging other agents to help me with the marketing. If it's a vacant property, I tell agents, I call them up. I'm like, hey, go do a video tour, post it on your social media. Let's win. If you find a buyer, I'm getting more publicity. So I'm really big about helping other agents grow their businesses by utilizing my listings.
Ah, so good. Okay, so you said 52 transactions this year. Is that January 1 to now?
No, 52 last year. So that was,
okay.
yeah, 2023.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about that because that's a lot. That's a heavy load. So, and
One a week. How hard is that? Come on, Corey.
That's it. Just one a week.
So tell us a little bit about like, did you grab an assistant during that time? I'm sure there was like a growth spurt where you just felt uncomfortable. Kind of take us through that.
Yeah, that is a heavy workload. And I'm kind of shocked that I was able to pull that off myself with just a transaction coordinator. So last year, it was just myself and a transaction coordinator. I did have agents that backed me up. So if there was a place where I couldn't show a buyer a property or I needed help writing an offer or couldn't attend a closing, I would try to reach out to some trusted friends for help in that space. But definitely there is a learning curve. But I will tell you guys, when you get intentional with your business and taking control of your business and taking control of your time, you'll be surprised at what you can accomplish in a limited number of hours. And so last year was my year of taking control and not letting the business control me. And that was just a pivotal, eye-opening experience to see that I could produce that high and still have that work-life balance that I had wanted. And it does take some hard boundaries. It's hard. You have to be willing to say no and be willing to risk losing business. But I will tell you guys, when you're mentally prepared for business, you're going to produce and do it better than when you're mentally exhausted. And so even if you think that, oh my gosh, if I say no to that buyer, I will take weekends off and I'll be like, I'm not working on Saturday. Well, what happens if the buyer calls and says, I want to look at this property on Saturday? Then I have to either be prepared to find backup or just say, no, I'm with another client. I'm busy. I have my appointment. And you have to be okay with potentially losing that business because you should not ever compromise your boundaries for yourself, for your family. So, like I said, I'm surprised at how much I can pack into a short period of time, but I can tell you when I'm working, I'm focused and I'm working, and that's my work time. And then when I'm not working, I'm not working, and I'm okay with that.
That's so amazing. And obviously we've gotten to see that kind of in action and in real time. And it's so powerful. Like it's a really powerful example of how someone has been able to do more with less. like just with those boundaries. And that's just given you such a runway to operate like with true freedom, professional freedom, personal freedom, because you've got such good like guardrails up around your life and your relationships and your business. I feel like some of our listeners might be like, okay, so 52 transactions in a year, like that's an incredible volume to not do with a team or with 4 assistants and a social media coordinator and you name it. So give us some insight into like what are the kind of core tools that are part of your business kind of portfolio, whether that's a CRM, your calendar, like just unpack a few of those. I mean, I'm sure you have several, but like what are the ones that you're leaning on every day that just are part of what, kind of helps you function?
Yeah. So calendar is 100% number one. I work really hard with time blocking. So, it was funny. I was talking with an agent the other day over coffee, and he was like, so you time block, do you really? And I was like, yeah, you want to see my time block? And so I pulled out my time block and it said Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock, coffee with somebody. And he's like, well, we're sitting here Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. You're having coffee with me. You do preach what you do. And so, I think having that time block has been so instrumental in helping me kind of structure my mornings. They are packed, but they're packed with things that I can control. I don't put anything in there that's uncontrollable. And so that's been really helpful. That's been probably the biggest thing. And then as far as CRM goes, so you guys, I am going to go against the grain a bit and kind of tell you my CRM consists of a Google Sheet. Primarily, my primary CRM is a Google Sheet. And the reason that is because I like to do bulk mailings like postcards or invitations or those types of things. And I can easily take that as a CSV file, upload it into a direct mail system and that type of thing. But it also gives me the quick ability to kind of go through easily. I'm just like, okay, haven't talked to them in a while. Hadn't talked to them in a while. Quick, send them a text, invite them to coffee, invite them to my event, whatever. And so my Google Sheet is where I live with my database. Now, do I have a CRM? It drips on people. Yeah, I have all of that, but I don't live in that. I live in my Google Sheet and I'm constantly updating it. Okay, they've moved. Let's pop them out or whatever the circumstances is. So I've got the notes in my Google Sheet and I just kind of, that's where I live for that. So nothing fancy.
That's what I tell all the new agents. I'm like, please just start in like a Google Sheet and make it super simple for yourself because there's a gazillion CRMs out there. So I love that, Jessica. And I love that you're still doing that. That's awesome. You're like, this is what I do. This is simple. That's incredible. So my next question for you. So have you always been really good at your calendar? First question. And this is 2-part. I'm sorry. So have you always been good at your calendar? And then 2, like for your coffee dates and your lunches and things, do you like for the next week have time that's blocked out for that you just schedule your people in?
Yeah. So the first question, have I always been good with my calendar? No, not even a little bit. So I'll never forget the first time that I really messed up. I showed up at the doctor's office with my kids thinking it was their appointment, right? And I get there and they're like, no, mom, it's your appointment. And I was like, no, not ready. I didn't brush, I didn't floss. I'm like, no, these are the kids, aren't you? And they're like, no. Well, as I'm at the dentist with this appointment that I didn't know, I had a friend contact me. They were waiting on me at another appointment. And I was mortified. Here I am, like at the dentist with not clean teeth. They're wanting to take me back. I've got my 3 kids, and I'm like, no. And I've got a friend across town going, hey, I thought we were meeting today. And that's when I realized I couldn't keep it in my head. I know, right? Like I couldn't keep it in my head. I had hit that point of like, okay, no. And so it's a learned trait, keeping a calendar. It is not something that came easily for me. It's not something, I mean, I have it. I don't think I have it right here, but I have a printed copy of my time blocks that kind of goes with me. So I can look at it and just get reminded. Even though I'm about 2-3 years into this time block thing, I still need constant reminders and stuff. So yeah, it's not easy, but it's worth it so much. That would be my biggest lesson or my biggest hope that a listener would take away is Just do it and stick to it, and it's worth it. And as far as my coffee dates and lunch dates, it's just ongoing. I have coffees on Wednesdays, lunches on Thursdays. Those are my standard times. And Fridays is coffee as well. And so if I'm looking at my calendar and I have a free spot, going back to my Google Sheet and going, wait, who haven't I had coffee or lunch with yet? Or who did I meet this week that I might want to get to know? And I just shoot them a quick text. Hey, would love to treat you to lunch this week. Would you like to come meet at such and such restaurant around this time? And so I just kind of keep it. It's like a flow. It just happens every week. So I'm usually only about a week or two out of booking those because people's schedules change, and that's okay. Like I schedule them. If their schedule changes, I'll reach out to somebody else. And last minute works well. You'll be surprised at how many people are like, gosh, that's so great for reaching out. Like, yeah, I'll come to lunch today. So don't make it too, it doesn't have to be like hard and stuffy. It's just like, you just kind of look at your calendar and be like, oh, today's lunch day. Who am I having lunch with today? So.
That's awesome. And I bet it makes them feel special too. Like, who doesn't like to be invited to something, even if they can't make it work, or they've got a work conflict, or they got to do something with their family or their kids, just to know like, hey, somebody wanted to like have some time with me, like that, is really meaningful. I want to piggyback off of the kind of calendar discussion into phones, email. I think there's this pressure that honestly we put on ourselves, that we have to be available, present 24/7. You can never like delay or defer a conversation if someone needs you. And I feel like that's done such a disservice to our profession and to our industry. And frankly, it like causes a lot of agents to just burn out, because who wants to be in that position, in any kind of job? So talk about how you created and now live in like a better place with regard to notifications and your phone dinging and ringing and beeping and all those things.
Yeah, so I'm pretty embarrassed when I think about what my life was about like 3 or 4 years ago, because I was so attached to those dings. The watch was like constantly like this, and people would be like, oh, I'm so sorry if I'm taking up your time. And I'm like, oh, no, it's just a text message. Oh, no, it's just emails. And I would verbalize that to people. And when I first recognized that I had a serious problem and an issue, because I did feel that burden of, you need to always be working. And I recognized I had an addiction. So not only was it like an exterior thing causing me to bend my rules, it was internal.
It
When
was like
I
your
first,
dopamine hit. Like,
it was,
I
I'm
gotta
like,
get it.
somebody wants to talk to me. Let's go. And oh my goodness, guys, like that is such a bad thing. And it was hard. It was hard kind of working through that. But once you break that, once you recognize that there's an issue where you're allowing the business to control you, you recognize that it's you that's allowing it, and you really put those boundaries in place. It's a process. It took me about 8 months of working through turning off notifications. So first one to go was Facebook. I was like, okay, I can deal without looking at my Facebook notifications. The second one to go was putting my phone on do not disturb while I was at church. I had always worked right through church. And so putting my phone on do not disturb at church was so eye-opening. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a message. There's my family, like the simplest thing, but it wasn't simple because I let the business control me. Yeah. And then the last notification to get turned off was, who was with us? I with you guys? I think I was with you guys. And we turned off my Gmail notifications, my email notifications. And they were like, just do it. And I was like, okay, do it. But
It was like pushing her out of an airplane, like 20,000 feet in the air. You just gotta go. We're pushing you.
But I'm so glad that I turned off my email notifications, that I don't have that buzz. And it's so funny. I'll go through like half a day and go, wait a minute, I didn't check my email today. But you guys, nothing has fallen through the cracks. My business has not suffered. My business has thrived. So setting these boundaries and taking control, I just can't say that enough. It's worth it.
And the last one to go was what, Jessica?
What was the last one to go?
Text
The text-
messages.
Oh, the text
messages.
messaging. Yes, yes, text messaging. Text messaging. Now, I do keep text messaging on during the day, but at night I turn it off. I do.
We have
guilty.
more discussions to do. You guys don't listen to what she just said.
More guardrails are going up.
I do keep it on personal a lot of the time during the day, though, so that way I'm not constantly distracted.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So tell us a little bit about your business currently. Like, who's involved? What are you doing? How many transactions have you done this year?
Yeah, so now have my personal assistant. So I did get rid of my transaction coordinator and I moved her to, and I hired a personal assistant. If you look at, like, if you're doing a certain volume and it makes sense 100% to have that transaction coordinator. But when I was reviewing the numbers, I could get a lot more services for about the same amount of money that I was paying the transaction coordinator. So it's one of those that just kind of work that out. But so I have a transaction coordinator and then I have brought on an event coordinator. So she's helping me with some of the events that I do. And that's been really cool. And yeah, and then year to date, I think I'm at 30 transactions year to date. So a little bit low kind of from where I was last year. 7 active listings. So that's kind of crazy. But the market's kind of a little slower right now. So we're just having to maintain that. But overall, I'm very pleased with where my business is. And yeah, it was a transition though to go from that transaction coordinator to the personal assistant. I'm still kind of figuring that role out, but it's a very good transition. I'm excited about that.
Where does that make sense to do? I'm just curious, real quick. Like, when does that make sense to switch from a transaction coordinator to a personal assistant doing your
So when I looked last year at my 52 transactions, I paid my transaction coordinator $19,500. So when I just looked at that number and then looked to see like what could I get for $20,000, I could hire somebody part-time that does more than just the contract to close piece. So I think it's just a number base. You just got to kind of keep an eye on that number of what you're paying your transaction coordinator and just see if it's better to bring that in-house. I feel like everybody's number is going to be a little bit different, but for me, once I kind of looked at that number, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and bring it in-house and have somebody that can get my signs in my lock boxes and can do some of those things that transaction coordinator can't do.
That's awesome. Give us a little, maybe pushing you a little bit, but tell us some of, they refer to the BHAGs, like the big, hairy, audacious goals. Give us 1 or 2 goals, like not like transaction wise, but something that's really pushing you sort of personally, professionally. Like, you got any of those?
So I saw a pink cyber truck driving through my town the other day. I kind of caught my eye. Like, did I see myself in a pink cyber truck? No, probably not. But that kind of was one of those things. But I love to travel. So travel is going to be those driving forces. I cannot wait to go on an international cruise. Would love to go transatlantic, those types of things. Lots of travel involved. And I've got 3 kids. They're in different stages of life, 23, 21, and 17. So kind of looking forward to getting them all out of the house and then getting debt free. I'm just like ready to be like, okay, we don't have to pay for the braces and all the things anymore. And then just having quality time with different people, especially my husband. Nothing too big and crazy out there, but love life, just enjoy what we have.
I feel like you have a big goal of helping to serve 100 agents by the end of the year in a really big capacity.
Did she really just say that?
She threw something out in the universe, Jessica.
I've heard it before come from your lips, not mine.
Yeah, I said that was a crazy goal and I wasn't going to do it, Corey.
It's gonna happen.
But yes, I do enjoy helping agents. I think I do have a gift. I love to serve and educate and encourage and mentor. And so I'm very thankful that I do get to do that. In addition to my production business, I get to love on agents every day. And it just makes my heart happy when they have their own wins and I can be a small part of that win. So yes, maybe 100 agents by the end of the year, but we'll see.
Maybe's a failing word there.
Oh gosh, girl.
Well, because we know you, Jessica, we know we've seen that gifting in action and we've been recipients of it too. So you really do, you do it so humbly and so naturally. And so consider this encouragement to like keep at it. And I hope that some of our listeners would kind of latch on, and we can certainly help make connections too. So
Awesome. I would love that. I do enjoy serving. That is definitely my passion. And yeah, I love it. I love that we get to serve together too.
Yes, it's just the really awesome thing about our group. Like Jessica's in Georgia, near the Atlanta area, Gainesville, South Carolina, Georgia, Gainesville, Georgia, and we're in Western North Carolina, and we just get to serve and help each other. And I'm sure you've heard that throughout this entire podcast, making her shut off her notifications and her, calling me on a Saturday night, telling me to do something. So it's really amazing to be a part of such an amazing group of people. I'm just really thankful for you, Jessica, and thank you for coming on this podcast.
You guys are so welcome. It's been my pleasure to get to know you two both. So much fun that we get to do life together.
absolutely.
I know. And I got to take them on their first cruise. You guys heard like cruising's my thing. And we just got back from a cruise. So yay.
She was our cruise director.
That's right. It was amazing. And yeah, it was a great experience. Really glad we did it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have an awesome day, Jessica. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Corey Wall
and Kristen James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.